We have, of course, the individual mandate, which is a very unfair and very unpopular provision, as you know, in Obamacare. Essentially, I think it ultimately leads to the end of Obamacare. It's essentially, I think Obamacare is over because of that, and we're going to come up with something that's really going to be very good.
Welcome back. That was President Trump touting the newly minted GOP tax law, which also delivers a major blow to Obamacare by repealing the individual mandate that requires people to buy health insurance. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says that Congress may now turn its attention to other agenda items. Listen.
Well, we obviously were unable to completely repeal and replace with a 52-48 Senate. We'll have to take a look at what that looks like with a 51-49 Senate, but I think we'll probably move on to other issues.
But the Majority Leader's comments are drawing a sharp rebuke from Senate Republicans like Lindsey Graham, who tweeted to those who believe, including Senate Republican leadership, that in 2018 there will not be another effort to repeal and replace Obamacare. Well, you are sadly mistaken. So, Guy, where is Obamacare right now as a law? The individual mandate, obviously repealing it is a huge blow to the law. President Trump also said, you know, we're no longer going to subsidize or no longer pay for the subsidies, rather, if I could talk. So what's the state? Right. So what's the state of the law right now?
Well, it's been a failing law since its implementation, breaking every promise that it was sold on. I think if you look at legislatively, one of the good things about the Supreme Court's decision that ruled that the individual mandate was a tax was that you could get rid of it as a tax. And that's what we've seen with this tax reform law. So that's gone. That's gutted and out. My suspicion is what you just heard from Mitch McConnell in that NPR interview makes sense. They could not get on the same page, Senate Republicans, to even do, remember, a skinny repeal with 52 votes. They're down to 51 votes, and who knows what 2018 is going to bring. There are going to be a lot of agenda items on the table to try to get to. I'm an Obamacare opponent. I think it's doubled premiums on the individual market.
So do you think they should move on, or should they address it?
I would like to see the law replaced. I think they're going to take another go at it. At least some members are.
But there's a good option.
Where do you get? What's the good option?
Murray Alexander. I mean, you have a bipartisan bill it's not completely finished. There's going to have to deal with now that there's no individual mandate anymore and continue to work it through. But when you have the opportunity for a bipartisan success with this, which certainly would help both parties going into 2018 and Americans who have higher premiums, who didn't get to keep their doctor, I think that's really smart. And to just say we're going to go for repeal and replace, Obamacare is at plus 21 in popularity right now. A lot of that is scared. People are scared that they're going to lose their health insurance.
But Republicans are in a pickle right now in terms of Obamacare because they get rid of the individual mandate, which potentially could send premiums skyrocketing because you have fewer young people, healthy people on it. And so you have a cost spiral upward that is even worse than what we've seen.
Continuing what was happening.
Let me just finish this. There was a report out from the American Academy of Actuaries saying that the Murray Alexander bill would not be enough to offset the cost effects of repealing the individual mandate. That's problem one. And the healthcare signups, although on the overall, the national healthcare.gov, the number of enrollments was down 4%. That wasn't as much as expected.
No.
So there's still 8.8 million signups on the national one.
And with the government not advertising at all.
And in states, California, Washington, New York, and Minnesota, signups were up compared to a year ago. So there are all these people on it.
Two things are happening.
You could have costs going on.
Simultaneously, we have an aging population.
Right.
So when you wipe away a mandate, it causes other problems that you might not have even considered collaterally were going to come down the pike in a very short period of time.
Right.
Because that aging population is going to reach about 50% of those over the age of 65 in just a few years. We have to start to pay attention to that. But the other issue is when you take the oxygen out of something, you have to replace it. And so we learned yesterday that they were having, just as they did with the tax bill, behind closed doors meetings, and some of those pre-tax legislation meetings were off-site. There is some talk about this. So maybe in the public there isn't a repeal and replace, but behind the scenes we know reporting is good on this, that they are talking about this. Republicans will own this. They've got to come up with a way to
fix it. And we will continue to have behind the scenes conversations about this because we have to move on. because U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, she provided the White House, or she's proving that the White House is paying attention to who voted against the U.S. on the UN Jerusalem resolution, how the administration is responding, and whether there could be further repercussions. You're going to want to stay tuned.
The United States will remember this day. We will remember it when we are called upon to once again make the world's largest contribution, and we will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more